Welcome back. We have been talking about chain bracelets, and in the last video I made this little patriotic charm bracelet. I'm going to have a rough time showing that to you. There. And I wanted to show you how I made these bead charms that were just a single bead, and then this bead charm that has multiple beads on it. So, this one is also one that you can make. So these two were pre-made charms, and that one is one that you can make. So you're going to need some supplies and some tools. So let's talk about supplies first. You're going to need some beads, and I'll show you a couple of options. There are more options than there are beads in the world, or about that same amount. And you're going to need something called a head pin, and I will talk about that in just a second. You're going to buy a big package of them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or somewhere. Ear backs, if you've got some of these, that would be terrific. If you don't, they're not necessary, but they're nice to have. For tools, you're going to need your round nose pliers and your flat nose pliers and your flush cutters. Also, if you have a spoon for the beads, you're also going to need something to measure with, and you can use a ruler, but I'm going to show you how to take a clothespin and make your very own measuring device. So let's get started. So this is the most basic bead charm. So I'm going to start with the most simple, and then I'll move to a little more complex. So you get out some beads. Here I've laid one out. All right, and then you're going to get a head pin, and these are really easy to find. And once you know what you're looking for, it's a head pin. The head is a little flat surface right at the end, and then the other end is just flush. It's not pointed, okay? It's not like a straight pin. It's flush. Okay, I think you can see that. So you get your head pin, you get your bead, and there you go. You're halfway done. Now, if you have some of these little earring backs, you can put that on there too. All right, and that is just going to keep your bead on this little stick so it doesn't come off. And these are just those little plastic ear backs. Sometimes I used to throw them away when I'd get new jewelry, but you can keep them, or you can buy them. Also, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, all of those places are going to carry these little plastic backs. I think its real name is ear nut. So there you go. Now that you've got your bead on your head pin, you're going to need to trim off some of this extra wire. This is quite a bit longer. As you can see, you don't need all of that wire. This is where you need a measuring device. Now, you can just take a ruler, okay, and you can hold it up like this and cut it. But I like to use a clothespin, and I've made marks on my clothespin, and I basically do the exact same thing. Now, one of the things that you do need to do is you need to hold on to your pin on both ends. So you've got to hold on to it on this side, and you've got to hold on to it on this side. If you don't, I'll show you what happens. So these two mark the length I want it to be. And so sometimes I'll even just go in right in between there and clip. Now, something about flush cutters. You need to have this side, which is the back, okay? You need to have the back against your project, okay? So they need to be like this. Okay, and this is kind of awkward hand for being on camera, but I've got to touch both ends of this wire. Okay. And that was not a very good cut at all. Okay, and I'm going to trim that up because that was a terrible cut. So typically how I'll do these things is I'll figure out where I need to cut, and then I'll turn it down into my bead mat, and then let that little end go into my bead mat. Okay, and how do we do? There. Okay, so the next step is we are going to take our round nose pliers, and I like to mark on my pliers where I like to roll my loops. Okay, so I'm gonna come in here, I'm gonna find that mark, and I'm gonna close my pliers around the wire. Okay, but let's see if you can see that. There you go. You cannot have anything sticking out this other side of your pliers, okay, or you'll make a weird shaped loop. So I've got to come up on my pliers, okay, and I'll show you that again. There. Now I can feel that with my finger just a little bit. It's just kind of catching. So I'm going to move it down just a little bit more. You probably can't even see that on the camera. There. Now I can't feel it. Okay. And I've got this in my pliers. Okay. I'm going to hold my right hand flat. Okay. I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to use my thumb, and I'm going to push up against that bead with my thumb. As I take that away, you can kind of see it, right? The bead's leaving a little indent in my thumb. I've got some pressure on that. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to roll my pliers around. Now my wrist won't let me go very far, so I go as far as my wrist will let me go. And then I'm going to let you see how that turned out. Okay, that's not a complete loop. So I got to come back in here. I got to grip on that again. Oh, and I didn't have a good grip on that. I'm trying to show you guys on the camera. Okay, all right. So I got to come back in. Okay, I got to get a grip on that end, and I've got to finish rolling that around. Okay, and I'm just going to keep making little adjustments until the end of the wire is touching this back part of the wire. Okay, and sometimes it gets a little wonky. Okay, then we're going to come back in, and we're just going to put a little bend in that, and that's going to open it up just a smidge. Okay, and we're going to come back in, and we're going to close that up. Okay, and so there's our loop. That is called a rolled loop. Okay, all right. Now, if you didn't understand all that, don't worry. I'm going to do it again. Okay, so here's my head pin. Here's the head. Okay, here's the flat flush end. Okay, and we're just going to practice. So I'm going to put this in my pliers. Okay, and I'm going to feel for that end to make sure it's not sticking out. Okay, I'm going to stick my thumb behind here. I'm going to roll that around, and that's about all my wrist will let me roll. Okay, so I'm going to open my pliers. Okay, and can you see that? It's not quite finished. Okay, so I'm going to take my pliers back in, and I'm going to roll that around. Okay. All right, then I'm going to come back in on the back side. Okay, and I'm going to put my fingernail right up against my tool, right there, and I'm going to roll that just a teeny bit and give that a little crook. Okay, can you see that? All right, now when you first make these, yours are not going to look like mine, and you're going to be disappointed. I'm sorry. It's like a lot of things in life. It's a skill. Okay, so if you've ever snow skied or water skied or skateboarded or any of those other things, the first time you hop on, you don't just ride away. and be glamorous and graceful. Okay, same thing with these rolled loops. You've got to practice. You should probably make 100. Okay, and you can see you've got some wire here to work with. Okay, so this end is now rolled, and then here's our head. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clip that off. Okay, and I'm going to put the flat end towards my project, and I'm going to put my finger behind to hold that so it doesn't go flying. Okay, and there it is. Can you see it? There it is. My camera moved. Ah. Okay, so there's the little piece I clipped off. So now here's our wire again. It's a little short, so we're just going to keep practicing. Okay, so we're going to put that in. We're going to make sure we can't feel, and I can feel it. So I'm going to move it back down. Okay, you can't see it, I can't feel it. So now I'm going to roll that around. And I'm going to take my pliers out. And it's not completely closed, so I'm going to keep on going. And that didn't do anything. So let me try that again. There we go. Okay, some people call this stage a P loop because it looks like the letter P. Okay, it's not finished yet. That's a P loop. Okay, the last step is you come back in and your pliers are going this way. Okay, can you see that? So here's my loop. Pliers come in this way, and I'm going to put pressure on this back side. Okay, and I'm going to pop that. And you see what my wrist did? It went like this. Boop. You're going to pop that. It doesn't take a lot. That one needs a little more. Okay, and sometimes it will open up, and you got to roll it back down again. And sometimes you got to flatten them out. Okay, there's another loop. Okay, we're going to cut it off. I'm much more comfortable with it up against on my mat. Okay, so I put it on my mat. There's the loop. I'm going to show you these two loops. Can you tell which one looks better? Ooh. Okay, this one looks better. You see that one kind of, I don't know, looks like a horseshoe. This one looks more like a horseshoe. I'll stay up on my hand. There. Okay, let's see if I can get some different light on there. So this one sort of looks like a horseshoe. It's hard to capture on camera. So horseshoe, correct. Horseshoes are okay. You can see I sometimes get horseshoes too. So it's not a big deal. All right, so now I've got this last little piece of wire. I'm going to do it again. Okay, I'm going to open up my pliers. I'm going to find my little mark. Okay, I'm going to close my pliers. I think you can see that. Okay, that's sticking out. We don't want it to stick out. So adjust that. Okay, and we shouldn't feel it. Ooh, I can almost feel it. Did you see it move? Okay, I can feel it just a little bit. Okay, put my thumb up against here. I'm going to have some pressure, and I'm going to roll that around. Okay, I'm going to come back in. Can you see that? Okay, this one got really wonky. That's okay. I'm going to come in with the flat part of my pliers, and I'm just going to straighten that up. Okay, it's not closed yet. We don't have a full P yet. So I go back in, and I'm going to push on that until I get my full letter P. Okay, once I've got a P, then I go in on the back side. Okay, and I'm putting my thumb right up against there, right up against the nose of the pliers. Okay, and then I'm going to pop that just a little bit with my wrist. Just pop it. Okay, that one looks pretty darn good. Okay, can you see it? There. I get it over the bead. That shows it better. Okay. So again, we're going to come in. And we're going to trim that off. Oh, see, didn't get that to touch. And it went flying. Okay, there's that one. All right, that's about all we're going to be able to get out of that pin. So I get 3. So I got 3 practice loops. Okay. Now, when I say make 100, that's kind of an exaggeration. I don't really mean you have to make 100, but I would definitely make 10 or 12 before you start trying to do this with a real bead. Okay. All right. So here's one. I think I made that one earlier. And I put some little beads on either end there, but this one I did not. So you can see the difference. So it's totally up to you. You're the designer. If you want little beads on yours, you are certainly welcome to do that. So I'm going to take another head pin and put a little bead on, and I need another big bead. Okay, so then I'm going to put my big bead on. Then I'm going to get another little bead. And now I'm going to trim. Put this over here so you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, so I put it up on my clothespin. And the thing about the clothespin is it just gives you a little more room between the table and, or between the head pin and the table. Because certainly I could try and put it on my, like this mat right here, but can you see how this already starts to come away? The beads start to come away and it's more difficult. So that's why I made up this little gadget. Okay, I'm struggling to do this on camera. Okay, so there's my little setup. Okay. I'm holding both ends. I'm going to come in. I think I'm just going to pick up my wire. Oh, that slid. Okay, snipped that. Okay. I'm going to come in. I feel it. I can feel it. So I'm going to roll that around. And I got it. This is a little tricky to do so that you guys can see it and that I can see it. Okay, now that one, let's see if you can get something behind there. That turned out really like a teardrop. That did not turn out well at all. We're going to work on that. Okay, then I'm going to come in here and pop that. I'm pretty good. Still a little bit of a teardrop on there, but it'll be all right. Okay. So then all that's left to do then is to just open up that loop and put that on the jump ring. Or on the jump ring, on the bracelet. Okay, so I need my flat nose for this. I come in and gosh, I can't even see which side opens. Okay, so you just twist that open and then put that on your chain and then twist it close. Okay, so that is a very simple bead charm.